It's another misquote he generates for his plethora of misquotes.
Plethora. Didn't I use that word around this point? Wow. Hubris 3:16, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to teach anything to someone so stubborn and willfully ignorant, but it appears that I've at least left you with your vocabulary enriched for the experience.
Next point is of the lizards I was discussing about in my video, which reproduce through pathogenesis because the male population has nearly been extinct. Thus, they cannot reproduce sexually. They can still do it with a male, but mainly do it with females because there's hardly any male gender. Remember when I said an animal's desire to reproduce is never overruled? Well, this is a classic example of what I meant. These lizards do not stick with these females for a lifetime. They complete these actions strictly for reproduction because there's no other way. It's a survival tactic. He attempts to mask this as denialism when if he had half a brain, this was already addressed in the first video. Hell, everything was addressed in that video.
Your original video was about 10 minutes long. My response was about 30 minutes long, and I had tried my very best to address every single one of your points, however insipid. And in addressing your 20-minute rebuttal to me, I will likely take longer still. Of course, you already addressed any points we are discussing in the first stage of this debate, but you did not automatically win your case just by speaking, for I had a counter-argument, and your counter-argument to my rebuttal is not a true counter-argument, but just simply to state for all of us that you have already pontificated on this. Unfortunately for you, you cannot pontificate anything. You have to support your argument with something which you have not done so. And your counter-argument fails.
In this next argument, I am sorry, Christian Truth Hammer and Epidemic 2020. I have to call this guy a complete idiot.
He has to. His instincts are overriding his advanced logical reasoning and morals.
He severely twists my points in that a female with low estrogen can be tomboyish whilst he leaves out, but not lesbian. And a male can have low testosterone levels and be a little feminine, but leaves out, but not homosexual. Now that that has been addressed, he goes on to say these low levels may lead to homosexuality, but if you watched my video, I already showed that theory, the hormonal theory, was debunked because it doesn't explain lesbianism. It deals with the attacking of the Y chromosome. Therefore, you fail on that note.
To the contrary, it is you who have failed. You are the one making the positive assertion, yet you have showed nothing. You have made baseless assertions. Your word is not evidence. Was not evidence in and of itself. Furthermore, it is you who are doing the twisting here. You admit that lower levels of estrogen or testosterone can lead to tomboyish or effeminate behavior. You may claim that lower still would not lead to homosexual behavior, but this is an empty assertion which you have not supported with evidence. And my point, and Smallmouth Pundit's point, was that you have admitted to hormone levels affecting behavior, and that your baseless conclusion that it can only go so far is why you are clearly a denialist.
His next point was, what would cause a female to mount another female to get sexual gratification when her instincts are to be mounted? This again falls under we don't know the minds of animals. For example, I once had 2 female cats. Both went in and out of heat in different times. When one went in heat, the other would often come to it and try to lick it, and what appears to me try to make it feel comfortable or better, because it seems that this whole cycle is extremely uncomfortable or painful to these cats. The other one even mounted the one in heat once, in which I believe she was attempting to help the one in heat. But guess what? The male cat I had mated with both of these cats. Therefore, how can they be homosexual?
Just for clarification on your beliefs, would you say that a lesbian who is raped by a man is no longer a lesbian? Furthermore, your primary defense of your assessment of animal behavior has changed from no homosexual behavior to conceding to the existence of bisexuality. Now, what kind of heterosexual would perform any type of homosexual behavior?
They're heterosexual with confusion of instinct, like I previously stated.
Incorrect. You just explained how they are bisexual. The concept of confusion of instinct is a knee-jerk reaction which closed-minded people such as yourself make when they are confronted with something that goes against their dogmatic belief.
So you've just made an assertion by claiming she should go under instead of mounting. We don't know their minds.
I agree, but you've contradicted yourself yet again because you just said that they are confused. How can you not know their minds, yet know that they are confused? Hypocrisy, hubris, and denialism.
Next is another misquote where he claims I say humans observed it, therefore it's wrong, when I never said that. I said we don't know. I never said humans observed it, therefore it's wrong. I said we don't know.
It is you who have misquoted me. The one snippet you take was when I misspoke but immediately corrected myself, saying that you claim we cannot know because human observation might be wrong, or because human observation is made in captivity, and any observation made in captivity is by its inherent nature wrong.
So next he failed at referencing biologically unnatural via the definition of nature provided by dictionary.com, might I bring back up. But moving on, next another misquote where he says, I say homosexuality is a genetic mutation like missing a limb or being a hermaphrodite, when I said if, not it is a genetic error. I said if it is a genetic error. And then he continues to use a red herring argument that our skin is a genetic mutation. Skin color serves a purpose, ladies and gentlemen, and continues through reproduction. Somebody please explain to this uneducated being that homosexuals don't produce homosexuals. Hermaphrodites don't produce hermaphrodites. Hell, even when it comes to midgets, they have a chance at producing another one, but it not always does that. The error doesn't always, a lot of times the error will go back to its original state. Therefore, this guy shows us clear lack of understanding on genetics and mutations.
Wrong again. It is you who have misquoted me yet again. For in my explanation of how the root of all our features began with genetic mutation, I said that it may be unique to us or an inheritance from our ancestors. And your belief that our inherited traits are not mutations at their root is proof that you do not understand what you are talking about when concerning the subject of genetics.
While trying to say I lack that understanding.
What was that?
I lack that understanding. I lack that understanding. I lack that understanding. This is highly laughable. In conclusion, since being a hermaphrodite is a genetic error and never transfers into the next offspring, if homosexuality was genetic, it would be a genetic error because it doesn't transfer.
Again, you show your lack of understanding of genetics, and it's on full display. There are no such things as errors. There are beneficial mutations, neutral mutations, and harmful mutations. Now, in terms of DNA's ability to copy itself, one could argue that they are all errors, but that in an evolutionary context, they are only good, bad, or ineffectual changes.
Also, if it were genetic, why then are they only 1 to 2% of our population, and why hasn't it killed itself off yet?
Again, no errors. And it would explain why homosexuality is relatively rare within the population, but homosexuality is not an error. Because if the cause were completely genetic, the same mutation is constantly reoccurring, the entire process of evolution is always in motion.